Oh, hi, didn't see you there. It's Music Mondays. I have a special guest, Dave Connors AKA, well, we'll get to that later. Cool. Cue intro. Hi guys, I'm here with a special guest,
Dave Connors
who is AKA
Sarkastodon.
Please pronounce that for the people.
Sarkastodon.
Cool, so who are you?
I am a Newfoundlander who's been in the music industry for about 10 years.
Okay.
My career started really in the indie rock world, and I made a bunch of records for indie rock bands in Halifax and St. John's around 2009 through 2015. And then since then, I've really gravitated to a hip hop kind of place.
Yeah.
I produce a local rapper, Kylie Coyote. I'm working with a PEI rapper right now called The Lavender Effect, who's dope. Shout out Lav. And a couple rappers in Brooklyn, including Carl Sharon. It's been a really cool year for me. I've been working with a lot of different people. But I live in a very hip hop centric production style. In the last little while, I've very much shifted to that aesthetic in the last little while.
Okay, so for people who don't know, what classifies as indie rock and what classifies as hip hop?
I'm a little older than you guys. I was graduated high school in 2009, and all through the first 10 years of the 2000s was really dominated by Canadian indie rock bands like Metric and Arcade Fire and Broken Social Scene. That was the music of my generation, and it's kind of what I grew up listening to in high school. So that's naturally the kind of music I wanted to be making when I first graduated.
Like back in the day.
Back in the day, 6 whole years ago. But after a while, I really started falling in love with jazz and rap. And
Yeah.
I find those mediums to be so beautiful and complex. And my playing started to gravitate towards that as a player. And then my production started to gravitate towards that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as in the world of jazz, who would you say is kind of your inspiration?
That's a hard question. I wish I was sitting by my records right now. Quincy Jones is if I could pick a hero, it'd be him. Just because he works across so many fields of music,
Yeah.
but he applies the same method. Like good music is good music. It's good because it's thought out and it's composed and it's arranged and it's powerful, not because it's in 12/8 or because it's super fast or like woo, like that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Good music is just good music, and it applied to Michael Jackson's Thriller just like it applied to Body Heat by Quincy Jones. Like,
Okay.
it plays through.
So how do you feel about the scene, just the hip hop scene in St. John's at the moment?
I cut my teeth musically in Halifax, which itself is a white Atlantic Canadian city, but it does have a black neighborhood, and for its black neighborhood, it has a hip hop scene.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I really experienced that on a cultural level, not just hearing on the radio, but being part of that community. And that's what kind of occurred to me, that you don't need to be in Brooklyn, you don't need to be in LA if you want to be making this kind of music. The scene here is growing, and there are some artists that are doing some really original, it's not quite traditional hip hop, but it's not anything that sounds like here. There's a lot of that going on. Shout out Van Buren Boys, Reggie Morales, Steffi the Artist, G Smooth, all those guys. But there's also just some straight up people who drop bars. DK, Doc Brammer, Kylie Coyote, my boy. There's some good rappers in this community. I think the scene is growing, and I think there's a bunch of small little pockets that are all starting to meet each other and get along. And that's really exciting to see too.
Okay. So for young artists, because St. John's is clearly a different atmosphere and a different community.
Absolutely.
Because the original music is not.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Hip hop or.
No, definitely not prominently.
For artists that are trying to break into the scene, right? What advice would you give?
I work with this really awesome non-for-profit that I want to give a shout out to called Mr. H Presents, and we mentor young musicians who are under 19, underperforming age in Newfoundland. And so I find myself giving this kind of advice a lot. So I guess I have 2 pieces of advice. One, write a whole bunch of music and record that music and mix that music and then delete that. And I know that's a hard thing to hear, but once you've done that and you've gone through that process, you have the ability to make a sad song. You have the ability to make a happy song, and just know how to do that. how to make a song in 6 that swings, and how to make a song in 4 that's straight.
Yeah.
How to make something that pumps, how to make all these different textures and sounds, because you can't make 20 songs without getting bored and trying new things. And then as you try those new things, you get good at those new things. And then when you're ready to make your record, the record that you show the world you with, you have this skill set that you made with your, and that's the other thing, when you're making these 20 songs, if you don't like it, good, that's even better, because that teaches you to push through on something you're not really believing in right now, even if you're going to delete it after the fact. So that's a big piece of advice I give. And 2, if you're making urban music, and by urban music I hate to use that term, I'm sorry, but like I mean like R&B, hip hop, electronica, and you live in a city that is on the East Coast and it has less than 200,000 people, you need to learn to market yourself to the internet. And there's a lot of amazing courses to do that online. There's a lot of amazing resources of people who can help you market for a really reasonable cost. You can have an awesome promotion strategy. It doesn't cost as much as it used to. But being an artist is both being able to play music and be able to do the things. A lot of artists don't want to do the things, but you have to do the things.
You heard it first here, kids. Just one more thing. So what are we going to be doing here today? So
we've been talking for a little while. You've been on my radar for a little over a year. And I really love your Music Monday series. So I figured we would do a little rework of a song I know we're both a fan of, Frank Ocean's Pilot Jones. If we can get the record in the shot, it's right up there. The Holy Grail. And I love that song. I've loved that record ever since I was in audio engineering school. And I'm excited to do a little Sarkastodon version of it with you singing. It's gonna be really fun.
Okay, cool. And also your Insta is?
My Sarkastodon_beats is my Instagram tag. Where's that card? Here, look, throw it up. Follow me on anything you can see in this shot. Perfect. Cool.
So like this song called, what's it called again?
Pilot Jones.
Pilot Jones. You know, when you hear Pilot Jones, I thought it was a song about flying.
Sure.
You know.
Well, it kind of brings me back to, and I know Frank Ocean's a big fan of like classic American music. But in the 60s and 70s, there was a lot of songs that compared stardom to being a spaceman or like an astronaut. And I think that's in a really similar way how Frank presents the idea of being a pilot in this. And maybe he's kind of like trying to lay a burn on the person who the song's about. To say, you're not an astronaut. You're a fucking pilot. Oh, sorry, you're a gosh darn pilot. And so like I always thought it was a really clever metaphor for this kind of person that's like always head up in the clouds, stoned, but like really doesn't go anywhere. They always just go somewhere and come back. A pilot.
Cool. So just, I know I said one thing, but one more other thing.
Sure.
Where do you see yourself going? Like, what's the end goal for you as a artist, producer, composer? Sure,
that's a really good question. Like, I've tried on a lot of hats over the last 10 years as I've kind of cut my teeth, but now I really consider myself one thing, and that is a beat maker / hip hop producer. I love working with pop artists too, but that I really like working in the world of hip hop. So I have, like I said, I have my record, Phono Montage. It's an EP that dropped a week ago. You should check it out. Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Kylie Coyote, who's a dope local rapper. I have a record dropping that I produced. It's not my name on it. It's his record. But that's going to be dropping sometime this summer, and there's going to be a subsequent tour after that. In the fall, I've got an EP dropping with PEI's Lavender. And then soon after that, I got a single dropping with Carl Sharon from Brooklyn. And then I'm going to see where I'm at and who wants to work with me next year. But it's been a really wonderful year full of wonderful opportunities. I really feel like I've become part of the St. John's scene, but I also feel like I'm growing my roots outside of St. John's at the same time.
This is how you stay booked and busy, people.
And like it's something to say because you're at your level and you're asking me for advice. But by no means am I Colin Timberlake and Dre when you leave. Everything works in tiers, and you build your skills and you grow your skills strong. And then you get the opportunity. But no one goes from the bottom to the top in one move. And anyone that does gets one song, gets robbed by a major label, and then no one ever hears from them again. So that's not what you want to do. Like understand that I'm just a few levels above and we're both doing the same thing. And for anyone who's watching who's an aspiring musician in the city, I'm always down to help.
Cool.
Yeah, word.
Cue performance.
Peace.
You know
You're a dealer and a stoner with the sweetest kiss I've ever known. I didn't know what I was on. I had a private joke. She took me high and she took me home. Pilot Jones, Pilot Jones. Tonight she came stumbling upon my home again. I don't know why I keep on trying to make this grown woman sober. But there she goes, reaching up her blouse. And no, I don't want no child. I haven't touched in a while. By the dealer and the stoner with the sweetest kiss I've ever known. I didn't know what I was on. I had a private joke. She took me high and she took me home. I didn't know what I was on. I had a private joke. She took me high and she took me home. Pilot Jones, Pilot Jones. Yeah. Woo! That was exercise.
That's it. We did it. First take.
Never would have made it.
One take. Oh!
One take. It was one take. In actuality, it was 1,000 takes.
Yeah,